I want to ask Maria if you have any closing statements, and I want to ask it to all my speakers, but I want to ask it to Maria first. If you have any closing statements, that'd be awesome.
So thank you again for having me for highlighting this reporting. I think what really stood out to me as we were looking at it was just kind of the lack of awareness of the scope of the issue and also what options are when it does happen. I know we don't have a lot of time to go into all the details of different school district policies and everything like that, but I would, without taking a stance one way or another, I would encourage parents and students to make sure they're familiar with their school district's policy. And if they are not liking that policy, reaching out to their school board, because Arizona gives district and charter systems a lot of flexibility in terms of laying out how they're going to handle these types of issues. So there is, to Tammy's point earlier, there is the community has some power to make their voices heard if this is not how they want this issue to be handled when it affects their students or is something that their students are dealing with.
Thank you. And let me tell you, I cannot appreciate more your reporting personally and your report on these school absences. I feel like a lot of times when you go to a school board meeting and you talk about school absences, funding, things that are the boring side of politics. I think it's great to realize and to quantify that means something to every student. Every time they talk about an ID policy, no one wants to sit and watch that video, and no one wants to sit into that school board meeting. But it's crucial that now that people are getting suspended for it, and now people are getting to lunch detentions for it. It's real for all of us, and I really appreciate your reporting on that.
Thank you so much. And I would, if I can, give a plug for, please use my contact info. I know, people can have some trepidation about talking to reporters, but I really want to continue covering these types of issues and other types of issues that have been raised during this panel. And a lot of times what I really struggle with is finding the real person to talk to about it or to bring to my attention, whether that's a student or a parent. So, I can't promise that everything will turn into a year-long project like this, but I can promise that I will hear you out and do some digging to look into something if it's something that I can potentially cover. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. And I mean, that means, I think, everything to all of us. If you could drop your contact information into the chat again, that'd be really great.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to ask the same thing to Jaden. What do you want to take away from this meeting, and just what do you get from it? What do you think?
Well, I feel like it was very insightful to kind of hear about other students' experiences and hear about from a parent's perspective as well, and hear more from the legislators and other panelists from today. So I feel like it was a very good learning experience, just kind of seeing and also pretty helpful to me personally, because it's interesting to know okay, on paper I know that I am not the only one that's experienced this, but really hearing about this, it doesn't make me feel as alone. And yeah, I also wanted to mention that I am a part of Puente Youth, and we actually do have a program that kind of advocates for students who have gone through similar things. Yeah, basically we provide a space for students to learn more about their rights and organizing skills to get power back in their schools. And yeah, if I'll drop my contact in the information if anyone wants to if any students are interested in learning more about that. But yeah.
I can't emphasize enough the need to get involved. I mean, beyond advocacy, it's for me, it's been friendship, it's been love, it's been life, it's been being in the space, creating your own space, and being able to sit there with other people like you and like everyone else here, and hearing each other out and knowing the real impacts here. That's what this is really all about. Thank you so much. Can I ask the same question to Audie? what are you taking away from here? What is your final thoughts?
It's really interesting to see the numbers of students in the presentation that Maria had in each and every school district that has been affected by this, because like I hear stories every day from my mom about angry parents and how she tries her best to help them and point directions on where they can go with this type of problems that they're having, because my mom as a parent has experienced that with both my sister and I as well. But also just seeing the numbers of students who are affected by this, and then hearing stories, and then also hearing stories from another parent, it just really says something, and it's a huge problem, and there's something that needs to be done, because all these school districts and the schools and whatnot and the staff, they're just failing these students. And that's a reflection on them. It's not a reflection on the child. It is a reflection on them, because they're not putting in the work and the effort to find out what the problem is. And instead, they're just suspending these kids and withdrawing them from school instead of actually sitting down and being like, okay, what's going on? Is there anything we can do to help? So this meeting was interesting and really, really nice, I think. And yeah.
And yeah, I mean, thank you so much for being here. I really want to highlight the idea of, I mean, when I first heard about this and this panel, I was like, and I thought about it, and I was like, suspensions for missing class. It's completely like hypocritical in every way. It's something that, honestly, if you thought about it for 2 seconds, you wouldn't even consider it. But it's something that happens, and it's something that happens on a systematic level. It's important to recognize that. It's important to recognize that we could all, try to do something about it, and if not, be that friend for that person who needs it, which is something that I think everyone who has experienced this needs, that friend. So of course you all have our contacts down there. It's wonderful. Thank you. I wanted to again ask that same question to Kara and say, what have you taken away from here, and what are your concluding thoughts?
Thanks for asking. Well, I'm taking away that I'm so proud of y'all for the work that you're doing, being so young and brave. I didn't know about any of this stuff when I was your age, so I'm very, very, very proud of y'all. I also want to say that as a parent, who has myself experienced criminalization, this doesn't help. It makes us feel more alienated. It makes us want to isolate more. And we need solutions, and we need not only support for the kids, but for the parents as well. This has to be a collective effort, not only between, the board, but the teachers and the parents and the students. The more support that the students feel, the better that they're. And I think too, something important that's worked for me personally is a lot of like peer mentoring. I think I love that y'all have your group, and that's peer mentoring, a pure example of it. And I think that's what we need more of. And I think y'all sharing your voices will show other folks that it is super important. And like you said, that's all you have right now, because you can't vote. I can't vote either. So I feel you. I'm out there talking all the time to people about the issues and what we can hopefully do to change things. So thank you all so much for sharing your stories. I'm going to put a plug in too for the ACLU of Arizona. We train folks to tell their stories. We are up at the legislature talking to lawmakers. We are out canvassing, knocking on doors. We do a lot of different things in the community. We have cool events. So I'm putting our next coming events this month in the chat with registration links, and I'd love to see you all there.
Yeah, it's really important to do these things, especially because, I mean, we can't vote. And it's something that we need to use our voices to the best of our ability. It's the boring part of politics, is what I heard it described as one time, and I really agree with. It's that we need to, share information. We need to get out there, tell our stories. And even if it isn't something as clear as some guy getting elected, it's something that is in ourselves. It's something that's in the space around us. It's about making a change in our spaces. It's about being the friend that everyone needs in these situations. It's about being the person who demonstrates that we've all been through this and that we're all in this together. This is a collective experience. That's what we're all here for. And I think it's really important that both you are doing that we are all here, and that we could all share this space. Thank you so much. And I last time, promise, I want to ask the same question. Tamilia, what are your final thoughts? What is your concluding statement?
Yeah, once again, I just want to thank y'all for like all the leadership you do. And I also want to do a shameless plug for your organization because I know y'all are doing a banned book drive. So if you don't know, now you know. And so make sure you go and hit them up on their social medias to get them banned books for our community. So shout out to y'all and all the great work y'all are doing in that. I think the last thoughts I just want to send off is pay attention to your school board meetings. There are so many things that slip under the radar that happen in those meetings that do greatly impact how our youth are able to navigate through life. And most importantly, if you have a young person in your life that is coming to you and confiding in you and some of the issues that are going on at school, I urge you to actually listen to them. I think as adults, we've been conditioned to just trust that the people in these educational spaces want what's best for our students. And unfortunately, the reality of the fact is that educational spaces tend to be some of the most violent spaces in our society. As we just heard from our speakers, there's detrimental harm that can be caused. So I urge our adults to listen and to hold space for the young people in their lives. And I ask that you show up to school board meetings, even when they feel boring, because that'd be the time when the craziest stuff be going down. So listen, show up, engage as you are able to. And thank you for being here.
I really couldn't say it better, but just one thing I want to reiterate is that you said, to the adults to be the person who holds space. And I think when I listen to these stories, in addition to all the bad, I think we all remember the one person or people who held a little bit of space for us, just a little bit. And I think that is the reason why we're able to be, doing the stuff that we do, is because somebody held space for us at one point. And the reason why we're all able to participate in a space like this is because at one point in our lives, somebody told us it was possible and that they were with us. And that's just so important.
Yeah, for sure. And just want to leave off with just the thought is that I do feel like, as a reflection of what we've heard here today, is that it feels like a lot of the times our schools are supposed to be a space where us as students and as young people are meant to be safe and affirmed, because at the end of the day, we spend more time there than with our own families. Almost our schools should be a place of community and unity. And somewhere along the way, our administrators or our school officials haven't been held accountable and haven't been committing to this dedication that they first probably entered the realm of teaching and education for. And I'm truly grateful for all of you all who are here, for educators and students and everyone that cannot be here.
Yeah.
So,
And like Cara said, it's a full-time job for us as high school students, as all of us as students. It's everyone's in it for for a long run, and everyone's there for 8 hours a day. For all the adults, imagine if something like this had happened at your workspace, how that would feel. How it'd be illegal for that to happen. It's it's truly something that we all need to recognize is a real issue, and it's that we need to work at a systematic level to fix. And thank you everybody for just being here.
Yes, and that concludes our webinar. Thank you again, student moderators, Dawn and Hayden. Thank you again, Maria, our investigator of the report. Thank you, Tamilia, school board member. Laura Tarek had to jump off, the lawmaker, but thank you again, students, Jaden and Audie, and of course, Kara. Thank y'all for being here. Happy Friday, y'all.